July 23, 1942. A train screeches to a halt in a clearing surrounded by dense Polish forest. The doors slide open. Passengers stumble onto what appears to be a railway station, complete with a painted clock, benches, and signs pointing to connecting trains. But this is no station. This is Treblinka, and within 2 hours, nearly everyone who stepped off that train will be dead. Between July 1942 and October 1943, approximately 900,000 human beings were murdered at Treblinka extermination camp. That's more than the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki combined. More people were killed here per day than at Auschwitz. Yet Treblinka remains almost unknown. No famous photographs exist. The Nazis bulldozed it flat, planted lupines over the mass graves, built a farmhouse where the gas chambers once stood. They wanted this place erased from history. For decades, they nearly succeeded, but the machinery of death that operated at Treblinka reveals something essential about how the Holocaust worked, not through random violence, but through industrial process, through men who designed murder like engineers design factories. Tonight, we're walking into Treblinka, not as distant observers, but as witnesses to a system built for one purpose: the complete erasure of human life. Welcome to the Marshall Memoirs. The Factory of Death takes shape. Spring 1942. In the quiet Sokołów district of occupied Poland, construction crews arrive near the village of Treblinka. They're building something the locals don't understand. Actually, 2 camps. Treblinka I had opened in November 1941 as a forced labor camp where prisoners quarried gravel under brutal conditions. But this new site, Treblinka II, sits just 1.5 kilometers away through the pine forest. It's different, smaller, strange. The man overseeing construction is Odilo Globocnik, SS and police leader of Lublin, who reports directly to Heinrich Himmler. The project has a code name, Operation Reinhard, named after Reinhard Heydrich, architect of the final solution, recently assassinated in Prague. The operation has one objective: liquidate the Jews of the general government, Nazi-occupied Central Poland, as quickly and quietly as possible. Treblinka will be the deadliest cog in this machine. The other 2, Sobibor and Bełżec, will claim hundreds of thousands. But Treblinka will murder more because Treblinka learned from their mistakes. The design is deliberate, calculated, refined. SS Oberscharführer Richard Tomala oversees construction, implementing lessons learned from Bełżec to create an even more efficient killing center. The camp covers roughly 42 acres, divided into 3 zones. Camp I houses the SS Guards and Ukrainian auxiliaries, about 30 Germans and 120 Ukrainians. Camp 2 is the reception area where trains unload and deception begins. Camp 3, hidden behind a camouflaged fence, prisoners call the Tube, contains the gas chambers. Almost no one who enters Camp 3 comes out alive. The entire facility is ringed by double fencing, 2.5 meters high, barbed wire wrapped tight and stuffed with pine and juniper branches so thick you cannot see through. Guard towers sit at intervals, machine guns ready, but this isn't designed as a prison. This is a slaughterhouse, and the architects know it. By July 1942, the gas chambers are ready. 3 rooms in a brick building, each measuring roughly 5 by 5 meters and less than 2 meters high. They're disguised as showers, fake showerheads, tiled floors, a sign reading, "To the baths and inhalation rooms." This isn't cruelty for its own sake. This is engineered murder. Every detail serves the process. The fake station with the painted clock, the narrow tube pathway, It prevents resistance because no one can turn around. No one can see what's ahead. The architects of annihilation. The first commandant, Dr. Irmfried Ebel, is a physician who ran the T4 euthanasia program, gassing disabled Germans in the name of racial hygiene. At Treblinka, he applies the same logic. Eliminate those deemed unfit to live. Ebel is ambitious. He wants high numbers. He wants efficiency. But in the early weeks, he pushes too hard. Trains arrive faster than bodies can be processed. Corpses pile up in the summer heat. The stench reaches nearby villages. By August, Ebel is replaced. The new commandant is Franz Stangl, a former police officer who had run Sobibor. Stangl is calm, precise, meticulous. He wears white riding clothes and carries a whip, not to beat prisoners excessively, but to maintain authority. He doesn't scream or brawl, he manages. Under Stangl, Treblinka becomes what it was designed to be, a factory. A death factory operating at capacity every single day. Franz later describes his own creation with chilling detachment. Treblinka was a primitive but effective production line of death. By autumn 1942, a second gas chamber building opens. This one has 10 chambers, each capable of holding 400 people. The killing capacity quadruples, and the trains keep coming. The pipeline of deception. Late July 1942. In the Warsaw Ghetto, notices appear on walls. Resettlement to the east. Jewish families are told to gather at the Umschlagplatz, the assembly point, with 1 suitcase and 2 days' food. They're promised work, farmland, a new start. Many are skeptical, but the Nazis hold leverage. The ghetto is already a death trap. Disease, starvation, overcrowding. Resettlement sounds like survival. Between late July and September 1942, roughly 265,000 Jews from Warsaw are deported. Most go to Treblinka. The journeys take hours, sometimes longer. The trains are cattle cars, freight wagons sealed shut. No water, no air. People press against each other in darkness. Children cry. The elderly collapse. Some die en route, their bodies remaining in the cars until arrival. Chaim Kaplan, a teacher in the Warsaw Ghetto, wrote in his diary on July 22, 1942, "The die is cast. We are faced with total destruction. When the train finally stops, it pulls onto a siding. The doors slide open. SS guards shout, 'Raus, schnell! Leave your luggage on the platform. You'll get it back after disinfection.' Families stumble out, blinking in daylight. They see the fake railway station. An SS officer addresses the crowd. His name is Kurt Franz, known as Lalka, the doll, for his boyish looks. His tone is bureaucratic, unremarkable. 'You have arrived at a transit camp. You will be sorted by occupation. Tradesmen, step forward. Everyone will shower and be disinfected before moving to the labor camp. Cooperation will be rewarded.' For a moment, there's relief. People fold their coats, tie their shoes together so they don't lose them. But then the yelling starts. 'Move faster, women and children to the left, men to the right.' Whips crack, dogs bark, the tone shifts. This is the selection. But unlike Auschwitz, where some were chosen for labor, here almost everyone is selected for death. Only a handful are pulled aside. Young, strong men and women who can sort luggage, clean the trains, maintain the machinery. They're the Sonderkommandos, the special units. Their job is to keep the system running. They know what happens in Camp 3 because they dispose of the evidence. The road to heaven. The rest move forward. Women and children first. They're herded down a fenced path, called the Tube. or the road to heaven, Himmelfahrtstraße. The path is narrow, perhaps 3 meters wide, lined with barbed wire and camouflage. The crowd presses from behind. At the end of the path, there's a building. It looks like a bathhouse. Guards tell them to undress. Leave your clothes folded. You'll need them after the shower. Women have their hair shorn quickly, roughly. The guards say it's for hygiene. It's not. The hair will be baled and sent to Germany to stuff mattresses. Naked, humiliated, confused, people are driven into the chambers. The rooms are packed, 400 people in a space meant for far fewer. Shoulder to shoulder, the doors slam shut. Heavy, airtight, darkness. Then the engine starts. Carbon monoxide floods the chamber. It's not instant. It takes time, 15, 20, maybe 30 minutes. The strong try to breathe higher air. Some lose consciousness quickly. Others suffocate slowly. When the engine finally stops, the doors on the opposite side of the building open. Not into the camp, into the death zone. The Sonderkommandos rush in. They pull the bodies out, tangled, twisted, some still warm. Anything of value goes into SS coffers. The bodies are dragged to mass graves. Later, when burial becomes impractical, they'll be burned on massive pyres, 2,000 at a time. The entire process, from arrival to death, takes 2 hours. And then the next train arrives, living among the dead. Imagine this. You're Yankel Wiernik, a carpenter from Warsaw. You arrive at Treblinka in August 1942, one of the few pulled from the crowd for labor. You're told you'll build barracks. Instead, you're led to Camp 3. You see the gas chambers, you see the pyres, and you realize you're not here to live. You're here to dispose of the dead. This is the reality for the Sonderkommandos. They work in shifts. Some sort luggage, some clean the rail cars, some drag bodies from the gas chambers. Others work the burial pits, and later, the burning pyres. Wiernik would later write, "The bodies burned slowly. We had to use hooks to pull them apart when they fused together. The smell was unbearable. The heat was so intense that our faces blistered, and the entire time, the trains kept coming. The work is unbearable. The smell is suffocating. Every body you touch arrived that morning. Some Sonderkommandos go mad. Some commit suicide. The SS provides alcohol to numb them to the horror. But the life expectancy of a Sonderkommando is brutally short, usually only a few months. The Nazis regularly liquidate these workers to eliminate witnesses, replacing them with new arrivals. Yet some survive longer than others. They're skilled, they're useful, and slowly, secretly, they begin to plan. Because they realize that if they're going to die anyway, they might as well fight back. Seeds of rebellion. By early 1943, the transports begin to slow. The ghettos are emptying. The SS knows the war is turning. The Red Army is advancing. The camps must be erased. At Sobibor and Belzec, gas chambers are dismantled. Grounds are ploughed. Trees planted. The plan at Treblinka is the same. But the Sonderkommandos hear the rumors. They know that once Treblinka closes, they'll be killed. So, a small group, led by a former Jewish officer in the Polish army named Zelomir Bloch and a doctor named Julian Choronjitsky, begins to plan an uprising. They steal tools. They bribe Ukrainian guards with gold hidden from the SS. They map the armory. They wait for the right moment. The plan is desperate. Set fires, steal weapons, rush the gates. Most know they won't survive. But they also know that if they do nothing, none will. On a sweltering afternoon, August 2nd, 1943, they strike. The uprising. At 4:30 p.m., a gunshot cracks across Treblinka. An SS officer falls. For a moment, Everything freezes, then chaos. Prisoners rush the armory, fires ignite in the barracks, gasoline-soaked rags are thrown onto roofs, smoke billows into the summer sky. Ukrainian guards fire into the crowd. Some prisoners fire back with stolen rifles. Some have axes, some have shovels, some have nothing but rage. Death to the murderers. Treblinka must cease to exist. The cry echoes across the camp. The uprising isn't about escape, it's about erasure. If the prisoners can destroy the camp, burn the records, kill the guards, maybe they can deny the SS their victory. Machine guns open fire from the guard towers. Prisoners fall in waves. Some make it to the fences, cutting through with stolen tools. Others are shot climbing over. Bodies hang from the barbed wire. Roughly 300 to 400 prisoners manage to break through into the surrounding forest. But the forest offers no safety. The SS mobilizes search parties. German police comb the woods. Ukrainian collaborators hunt escapees for bounties. By nightfall, the uprising is over. The camp is in ruins, but hundreds of prisoners are dead. Of the 300 to 400 who escaped, fewer than 70 survive the war. But those 70 become witnesses. They write memoirs. They refuse to let the world forget, erasing the evidence. By November 1943, Treblinka is gone. Under Operation 1005, the SS orders complete destruction. The gas chambers are dynamited, buildings are burned, mass graves are exhumed, and bodies are burned on pyres to erase evidence. Lupines are planted. A farmhouse is built over the site. A Ukrainian farmer named Trebl is installed. The SS nearly succeeds in erasing Treblinka from history, but they fail in one critical way. The witnesses survive. Justice and memory. After the war, Franz Stangl flees to Brazil, living quietly in São Paulo under his own name. In 1967, Nazi hunter Simon Wiesenthal tracks him down. Stangl is extradited to West Germany, tried and convicted of complicity in the murder of 900,000 people. He receives a life sentence and dies in prison in 1971. Kurt Franz, the doll who shot prisoners for sport, is sentenced to life imprisonment in 1965. In 1964, a memorial is unveiled at Treblinka, 17,000 jagged stones representing the Jewish communities destroyed. Each stone bears the name of a town. Warsaw's stone is massive, a reminder of the 265,000 deported from the ghetto. At the center stands a cracked monument, symbolizing broken lives. Samuel Willenberg, one of the 70 survivors, spends his life creating bronze sculptures depicting Treblinka's victims. He says, "I live two lives. One is here and now, and the other is what happened there. It never leaves me." Treblinka exists today as a field of stones. If you visit, you'll walk across uneven ground. You'll see the markers. You'll stand where the gas chambers once stood. But you won't see the buildings. The Nazis erased it all. The Holocaust wasn't random violence. It was a system, a machine built by engineers, operated by bureaucrats, maintained through schedules and supply chains. People designed this, people participated, and people looked away. But Treblinka also teaches resistance. The uprising of August 2, 1943, was doomed from the start. The prisoners knew it, but they chose to fight anyway. They chose defiance. They chose to make sure the world would know. And because of them, we do. And October 1943, Treblinka erased 900,000 lives. But it could not erase the truth. The 70 who survived made sure of that. As Elie Wiesel wrote, "For the dead and the living, we must bear witness." Treblinka stands as testimony, not just to death, but to the resilience of those who refuse to be forgotten.